Hello my dear students, I'm sure you have done very well in your instrumentation paper, and the other students of electronics and communications and electrical. I hope your preparation is going very well, and electrical and electronics students, it's very important to follow the analysis of what topics the questions have come in instrumentation. So this video will provide you the video solutions and analysis of signal systems. So if you ask me how the paper is in general about instrumentation, the paper is really easy as compared to the last year. And when it comes to the top MSQ questions, in fact there are only 3 MSQ questions in the total complete instrumentation paper. So for all the students who are going for examination, whether it is electronics and communications or electrical, it's important that you are having a mindset, okay, there are not going to be so many number of MSQ questions, there are only a limited number, which might be in a way a confidence booster for you, okay. So you don't need to be very much tensed about the MSQ questions, right. Second thing is that what I felt about the instrumentation paper signals and systems is that the paper is not difficult whatsoever, it's not at all difficult, but some of the questions are framed in such a way that to make you do the mistakes. Okay, so you have to escape those mistakes, okay, that is the point. So for which you have to, once you solve a particular problem, you have to check whether it is correct or not, clear? So every question that you solve, you have to check whether it is correct or not. I would request all the students to mention how you felt about signal systems in the comment box below, and let us start doing the problem solving, okay. So my dear students, so let us start solving with the first question, okay. So the first question is a very simple one, which is based upon the Laplace transform. I'm sure everyone has marked this correctly. Okay, what is the question? So we are given the signal f of t, okay. The signal f of t is given as e power t u of minus t, okay. The signal f of t is given as e power t u of minus t, and we had to find out the bilateral Laplace transform of this. We need to find out the bilateral Laplace transform of this, okay. So what is the bilateral Laplace transform of e power t u of minus t? What is the bilateral Laplace transform of e power t u of minus t? So what we have to do, first thing is that we have to find the Laplace transform for u of t, right? So what is the Laplace transform for u of t? It is 1 by s for the real part of s greater than that of 0, okay. So this is something that we know, it's a very basic concept. Now you apply time reversal. So if you apply time reversal, it is going to be minus 1 by s for the real part of s less than 0, correct? Yes or no? Either you apply the time shifting property, or u of t, u of minus t are the standard functions. For u of t it is 1 by s, for u of minus t it is minus 1 by s. And the ROs is going to be complementary, right? So if here it is sigma greater than 0, here it is going to be sigma less than 0. As simple as that, correct? So u of minus t is going to have the Laplace transform as minus 1 by s for the real part of s less than 0. Now you apply the first shifting theorem. So first shifting theorem is e power t u of minus t. E power t u of minus t. So when you are multiplying with e power t, then the s gets transformed to s minus 1. Correct? Yes or no? The s gets transformed to s minus 1. So this is going to become what? Real part of s minus 1 less than 0, or it implies that real part of s is less than 1. Real part of s is less than 1. So it is minus 1 by s minus 1 for the real part of s, which is less than 1. So you can see the options which are given. So the first option which is given to us, is 1 by s minus 1 for sigma greater than 0, sigma greater than 1, okay. So basically a real part of s is nothing but sigma, yes or no? But it is not matching with the option, right? We are having minus 1 by s minus 1, okay, whereas here it is sigma less than 1. The first option says it is sigma greater than 1. So option B is minus 1 by s minus 1, okay, for sigma less than 1. Option C is 1 by s minus 1 for sigma less than 1, and option D is minus 1 by s minus 1 for sigma greater than 1. Can you please tell me what is the correct answer? What is the correct answer? Option B is the correct answer. Option B is the correct answer, right? So it's a very simple question which has been framed on the Laplace transform. I hope all of the students have answered it correctly, okay. So if you are liking the session, please click on the like button, my dear students, and to get the update regarding our videos, please click on the subscribe button and also click the bell icon, okay. So my dear students, so let us start the second question. So here is a signal which is given as sine of root 2 pi t. So here the root is there for the entire 2 pi t. Okay, many students might have assumed that the root is there only till root 2 pi, 2 pi only, not to t. But actually the root is there which includes t also, right? So here the question is that it is non-periodic, that's the first option. Option B is that it is periodic with a period of 4 pi square. Third option is that periodic with period of root of 2 pi, and the last one is periodic with t is equal to 2 pi. Right? Can you please quickly tell me what is the option you got? You can please comment in the comment box. Everyone, what is the answer you got for this question? Many of the students, just because it's not a standard form, we might think that it is non-periodic, right? Many of us think in the same way, yes or no? But actually, let us try to approach it. One point we have discussed in the classroom is a continuous time periodic function. Continuous time sinusoidal function. The continuous time sinusoidal function is always periodic, right? That's the one very important point I generally write in the notes, that a continuous time sinusoid is always going to be periodic in nature. So thereby here we have a form of, even though it is there in the root, so we have a form of sine of theta. We have a form of sine of theta where theta is equal to root 2 pi t, where theta is nothing but equal to root 2 pi t. So at t is equal to 0, or I can do the other way, right? Theta is equal to 0, then can you please tell me what is the t value? T is equal to 0. Theta is equal to pi. If theta is equal to pi, sine becomes 0, right? Yes or no? So here, what will be the value of t in that case? So pi is equal to root of 2 pi t, root pi. So can I say that t is equal to root of pi by 2, correct? T is nothing but equal to root of pi by 2, correct? So this is nothing but t. So at t is equal to root of pi by 2, the complete value is going to become equal to pi, where the function becomes equal to 0. Next, t is equal to 2 pi. T is equal to 2 pi. What is the value of t? So 2 pi is equal to under root of 2 pi t. So here t becomes equal to root of 2 pi. Yes or no? Yes. So it means that we know this function is periodic, no doubt about it. Yes or no? This function is definitely going to be periodic. If that is the case, at theta is equal to 0, pi, 2 pi, the function is going to be equal to the of 0. And we know sine theta is going to be periodic with a period of 2 pi. After this, we are going to have a period of 2 pi, right? The complete cycle will be completed at pi, the half cycle is completed. At 2 pi, the full cycle is completed. So, according to the value of theta, 0, half period, full period. Similarly, for the corresponding value of t is 0. Here it is root of pi by 2, and here it is root of 2 pi. So at t is equal to 2 pi, at t is equal to root 2 pi, the function is going to complete the cycle. At t is equal to root 2 pi, the function is going to complete the cycle. Yes or no? The function is going to complete the cycle. So here, root 2 pi should be the correct answer, my dear students. Root 2 pi should be the correct answer. Why, sir? Because sine theta is a periodic function. At theta is equal to 0, the cycle starts. At theta is equal to 2 pi, the cycle is going to complete. One cycle is going to get completed. So correspondingly, we have the value of t is equal to 0, and correspondingly, we are going to have a value of t is equal to root 2 pi. So here it's a half cycle and here it's a full cycle. So the period here, because of the fact that we have to find in terms of t, so thereby the period is going to be equal to the top root of 2 pi. The period is going to be equal to the top root of t pi, right? So the answer for this question is the periodic with the period of 2 pi, root 2 pi, okay? Periodic with the period of root of 2 pi. So option C is the correct answer for this question. So my dear students, so let us enter into the third question of signals and systems. Okay, so this is one of the tricky questions that has been asked in signals. Generally, the complete paper is easy, but this question is a little bit more tricky, okay? So, here input is given to us. So, it seems to be very long, right? It's passed through the impulse response. Now, the number of non-zero output samples is the question. Now, quickly what we will do? many of the students relate with the formula. Sir, if I'm having L1 as the length of the input samples, L2 is the length of the impulse response, then the output is going to be what? L1 plus L2 minus 1, right? It's L1 plus L2 minus 1, correct? Yes or no? But here we should not apply that formula because the question is not the output samples. The question is number of non-zero samples at the output. Okay, so that's a little bit different question. Can you please represent this function in terms of impulses? Is it possible? Okay, can we represent it? Can I write this as there is an impulse at n equal to 0 with a unit of 2. There is an impulse at n equal to 1 with the amplitude of minus 1. So minus 1 del of n minus 1. Here it is going to be minus 1 del of n plus 1. Correct. So there are 3 samples. One at n equal to 0, the other at n equal to 1, the other at n equal to minus 1. So their coefficients are going to be the values here. Minus 1, here it is 2, and here it is minus 1. So if I am calling this as x of n, so x of n convolved with this is going to give you the output. So what is this? Minus del of n plus 1 plus 2 into del of n minus del of n minus 1. Correct? So what is this going to be? What is this going to be? This is minus x of n plus 1 plus 2 into x of n minus x of n minus 1. Okay, so this is going to be the output, yes or no? This is going to be the output y of n. As simple as that, yeah. Okay, so let us represent this. Let me represent the samples as, okay, I'm just writing the sample values of x of n. I'm just writing the sample values in the form of sequence. So in the form of a sequence, x of n, let us say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have 2, 2, 2, 2. And then you have 3, 3, 3, 3. And then you have 1, 1, 1, 1. Correct? So these are the sample values which are given to us. Now, this is x of n, my dear students. So what I want 2 into x of n. So 2 into x of 1 means 2, 2, 2, 2. Here it is. Again the same, right? And then I have 4, 4, 4, 4, 6, 6, 6, 6, and then 2, 2, 2, 2. So this is nothing but 2 into x of n. This is 2 into x of n. And then I have x of n minus 1. Okay, x of n minus 1. So it means that it is a delay. So let me write here 1, 1, 1, 1. And then I have 1, 1, 1, 1. And then I have 2, 2, 2, 2. And then I have 3, 3, 3, 3. And then I have 1, 1, 1, 1. Correct? Yes or no? This is x of n. This is x of n minus 1. This is a delay, right? So let me keep minus of x of n minus 1 is what I want. Minus of x of minus 1 means just multiply with minus, as simple as that, right? Just multiply with minus, as simple as that. Yes or no? Just multiply with minus, and then you have x of n plus 1, my dear students. Then you have x of n plus 1. X of n plus 1. How the x of n plus 1 is just going to be the advancing. It's just going to be the advancing. Here it is like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. And then you have 2, 2, 2, 2. And then you have 3, 3, 3. And another 3, right? And then we have 1, 1, 1, 1. Correct? Now there is a minus here also, right? There is a minus here also. So let me put a minus here. Here also minus. Here also minus. Okay, minus, minus. Here also minus. Here also. Correct? So now, these are the important things. This we are going to add. So if I add these, then what is the result going to be? If we add these, what is the result going to be? It's going to be minus 1. Here it is minus 1, right? I mean, here it is 1, here it is 0, here also 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 0, here it's non-zero, it is -1, here it is non-zero, it is 1, here it is 0, here it is 0, here it is -1, here it is 1, here it is 0, here it is 0, here it is non-zero, right? This is non-zero, which is equal to that of 2, here it is non-zero, which is equal to that of -2, here it is 0, here it is 0, here it is 1, here it is -1. Just we need a count of non-zero samples. Let us count. Everyone, are you ready? 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so totally the number of non-zero samples are going to be equal to 10. The total number of non-zero samples are going to be equal to 10. So the correct answer for this question is 10. It's a numerical answer type question asked for 2 marks. So this is the correct answer, that is equal to 10. Clear? So how many of you have got the correct answer? Please mention in the comment box, everyone. Please mention in the comment box how many of you got the correct answer. Right, students? So let us now enter into the 4th question. So are you liking the session? Is it useful for you? Especially the instrumentation students who have just completed the examination. Is it useful session? If you are finding it useful, please like the session and share with your friends. Okay. So now let us let us start discussion of this question. So it's a very simple question, very straightforward question. So y of t is nothing but e power -3t ut convolved with u of t plus 3, and we have to find the y of t at t tends to infinity. We have to find the y of t at t tends to infinity. So it's a very simple question. First thing is that I told that this formula is important. E power a t ut convolved with e power b t ut. This is equal to e power a t minus e power b t divided by a minus b. Clear? Divided by a minus b. So this is something that we know. Now here, if you put b is equal to 0, then you are going to have e power a t ut convolved with ut. So that is going to be happening. You are going to have a u of t here. So which means that this is equal to e power a t b equal to 0 minus 1 divided by a into u of t. Correct? So this is nothing but the convolution of these two functions, which is e power a t minus 1 divided by a into u of t. Correct? So if I am writing here like e power minus 3t minus 1 divided by minus 3 u of t. Okay, so can I write it as 1 by 3 1 minus e power minus 3t u of t. Here. So this is nothing but the output y of t. But if I consider u of t here, v is equal to 0 means this is u of t. Now same concept here. Okay, so now you have e power minus 3t ut. You convolve with u of t, you are getting the answer like this. But what I want it for u of t plus 3, right? I want it for u of t plus 3. What we have done is only for considering that u of t here. But I have a u of t plus 3. What you will do? Simple. You use the time shifting property. You just use the time shifting property that every time you are convolving, if f of t convolved with x, anything, h of t is equal to y of t, then f of t convolved with h of t plus 3 is going to be what? This is simple, y of t plus 3, yes or no? This is nothing but the time shifting property. So once you get the answer for u of t, now u of t plus 3 is there, it means that wherever t is there, you just substitute t plus 3. Wherever t is there, you just substitute t plus 3, which means that this is 1 by 3, 1 minus e power minus 3, t plus 3 into u of t plus 3, my dear students, correct? Yes or no? Can I write it as 1 by 3, 1 minus e power minus 9, e power minus 3t, u of t plus 3. Can I write like this? Definitely yes, right? I can definitely write it like this. Now you see, this value t tends to infinity. When your t tends to infinity, u of t plus 1 is equal to 1, right? U of t plus 3 is equal to 1. This function is going to tend to, what is this function going to tend to? As t tends to infinity, this function is going to tend to 0. It means that this complete part becomes 0. What we are left with, my dear students? What are we left with? We are just left with 1 by 3. We are just left with 1 by 3. Achha, one more important point here is that whether you are convolving with u of t plus 3 or you are convolving with u of t, if you want a steady state value, it doesn't matter. Because when you talk about steady state, I mean t tends to infinity or steady state, then you are measuring at infinity. So it doesn't actually matter whether the value of it is u of t or u of t plus 3. The answer is always going to be 1 by 3. Clear? So who are little bit more smart, what they will do? Array, I want just t tends to infinity. It doesn't matter whether it is u of t or u of t plus 3. Right? So the answer is going to be 1 by 3. It's a numerical answer type question. It's going to be 0.33 to 0.33. Clear? It's a very simple question. It's not at all a difficult question. Right. So final question for the day, my dear students. Come on. Final question for the day of signals and systems. So this question is one of the very simple questions. Okay. So what are we having? Right, my dear students. So now we are going to solve the question number 5, okay, of signals and systems. I mean, this is also one of the easiest question. Okay, it's not at all difficult. So let us read the question. See, you are given a sample sample of 1 unit at 0. This is what? This is nothing but impulse, right? So when you're passing through the system, it is going to give you the output as 1 to 1. 1 to 1. Can you quickly tell me whether this system is causal system or non-causal system? Okay, if you are giving the input here, you are getting output here. Before that, then this is nothing but a non-causal system. Okay, this is nothing but a non-causal system, or in a very simple manner, see, this is nothing but what? Impulse response, correct? Yes or no? When you giving impulse as an input, the response is nothing but impulse response. If impulse response is going to be non-zero for n less than 0, then it is going to be non-causal, right? Okay. So anyway, that's not a part of the question. Just I'm asking you. Okay. So you are getting the output. This is impulse response. When the input is an impulse. Yes or no? Now, when you are giving the input as x of n, then what is the peak value of the output? What is the peak value of the output? Okay. So when you are passing x of n through this function, then what is the peak value? Can you tell me what is h of n? What is this impulse response? Impulse response is simply going to be h of n is simply 1, 2, 1, isn't it? Yes or no? Whereas x of n is simply 1, 2. Okay, so let me also make it more clear. This is 0, this is minus 1, this is 1, this is 0, and this is 1. Okay. So the arrow positions are also clear to us. Now you convolve these two functions. What are we going to have? You convolve these two functions. Please convolve. Let us use tabular method. So 1, 2, 1, whereas here it is 1, 2. So let me pad 0 here. So it is 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2, 0, 0, 0, right? Clear? So this is 1, 4, 5, 2, 0. Okay, what is this? This is nothing but the output. Now the question is about the peak value. What is the peak value, my dear students? The peak value is nothing but 5, right? So the answer for this question is 5. The answer for this question is 5. Okay?